Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be starting a new run as Siam, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different in that we are going to be playing on the Victoria Tweaks mod, which has a bunch of different little changes. We are just using the same kind of series of mods that One Proud Bavarian is using for his recently started Brazil run, which includes, this map update, which, changes the text to look more like Victoria 2, I believe is the idea, as well as a few other, changes. This mod pack, or this mod, Victoria Tweaks mod, is kind of one of the most popular, if I believe the most popular balanced tweak change mod. We can see some changes immediately if we want to take a couple look at things. Like, for example, religious schools no longer provides as much education access as public schools. There's a bunch of different balance changes all around the place, and so we're going to be navigating our way through this. And also, because we are not playing on vanilla, we are going to be playing somewhat RP, somewhat min-maxi. The RP element we are going to be doing is we are going to be not expanding in a way, we are going to be expanding in a way that looks kind of regional and reasonable, in that what we are going to do is we are only going to declare interests in areas that are adjacent to us, and we are only going to, as a result, be able to declare wars or colonize in areas that are adjacent to us, and we are going to look to expand in a sort of, more organic way than we normally do, and we are also going to play a little bit more for standard of living, more so than, GDP, although to be fair, the best way to raise the GDP is to raise the standard of living, and so this run itself is going to feel a little bit different. Our goal for the run is going to be to unite all of Southeast Asia, which will require an eventual showdown of sorts with the UK, and also there's also some difficulties for us, in the sense that getting recognition will be very, very hard if we cannot declare an interest in, say, anywhere that is not adjacent, because this means for recognition we will have to fight the UK, and the normal strategy of, just landing Singapore while you're nice and safe on your own or whatever will not work for us as Siam, because we are going to be adjacent to Singapore, or we're going to be adjacent to Great Britain, or at least the British East India Company, and so this is going to present some challenges. We're probably going to look to eco up and play a little bit of a, Southeast Asia, Indonesia game, as best we can. We are expecting it to be slower because we are expecting the AI to be stronger as a result of this Victoria Tweaks mod. They're going to produce goods a little bit better, so we're going to be able to import, export, and rely more on trade. And we're also going to be a little bit slower because we're not going to be doing the standard meta of going for, South Africa, which is, there's just an insane amount of weewoos and also gold down here, which is going to allow you to really, really pop off. Growth is snowbally, and so the presence of an injection of gold in the very early game is going to make a huge difference, because with that minting you build more buildings, and then the buildings generate value, and those buildings build more buildings, and so we are not going to have access to that. And so we are going to be, trying to formulate a strategy here. Alright, first up, the base mappy is no longer 75, but is instead 60, which is going to be very, very uncomfortable for us. We are still on traditionalism. Now, traditionalism seems to not be giving a mappy penalty anymore, which is a bit interesting. I'm not sure why they took this off of here. There's going to be a lot of, things I'm not as sure about, but we do want to get off of traditionalism relatively quickly. But since we have, 60 mappy, what we're going to be doing, kind of as our opening salvo, is I think we're going to just build a construction sector everywhere. Just a single construction sector everywhere, and then follow that up with building a simple logging camp everywhere in every single province. If we talk about, some of the unique features that are present with the start, one, we start off with very, very backward tech. We are not in a good shape as far as the tech goes. Now, we will be researching stock exchange first here, but following stock exchange, we'll figure out something else to do. If stock exchange is not spreading to us, we'll work on something else. We're probably going to make a beeline for railroads, though. Also, as far as interest groups go, we have kind of the normal looking interest groups, but our religious group is, the Buddhism or Theravada monks, which is going to be like the same as Confucianism in that we are getting minus 100% radicals from standard living decreases. So I think we're going to want to lean into, this type of religion, as it were, which I think that if we have, while I think if we have freedom of conscience, which we might want to end up going, we will accept, other interest groups that have the similar to the Theravada, which I think Confucianism is similar enough, so we might be able to utilize their pops. In any case, migration, intra-market migration is significantly nerfed in this mod, to my understanding, and so this places less emphasis, ongoing, total separation and multiculturalism every run, and so there's that. We also have some interesting land here. So there is an introduction of this minus construction efficiency modifier applying to all of the area that we basically planned on taking, and so that is not fun. There's also here, plus market access price impact on every river, and so we are going to be trying to make use of that. We also have, there's a lot of logging, positive logging modifiers in a couple of different places. There's a hard one up here in Burma, and there is just a straight logging throughput down here, in this region, and so this is a really, really strong modifier, so we're pretty happy about that. We're going to focus logging as we normally do. But we do have to, deal with these new changes from the Victoria Tweaks mod for the state construction efficiency. So a big chunk of our pops are in both Bangkok as well as Nakhon Ratchasima. I don't even know how to pronounce this. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to put in increased social mobility in both these places, mainly for the education access to look to pull this up. This is going to increase our natural spread, which is going to be nice, and also road maintenance down here, which we're probably going to look to make use of. This is where we have a majority of our pops, as we said, and so we're probably going to be mainly focused on building in these two places, at least, kind of at the beginning. You can see here there's a little bit of pops everywhere else, and we did put in a couple construction sectors we put in one construction sector everywhere, mainly because we care about local prices, but then we're going to kind of focus back in on these guys. So we're going to put both of them on auto expand, and one thing we are going to be doing is with our authority, because we've spent a big chunk of it, is we're also going to be bolstering both the Industrialists and the Intelligentsia. They're going to be pretty slow to have a bit of a come up. We got the little sandblaster outside, but what we are going to be doing in the kind of near-ish future is looking to get onto sawmills so that we can get an industrialist base, because this will change ownership from being shopkeeper owned or merchant guild owned to being privately owned, and so this is going to be kind of the start of the industrial efforts here in Siam, or what will be, the Southeast Asia unified kind of conglomerate or whatever. Conglomerate sounds nice. Sounds nice and industrialisty. Okay, as far as diplomacy goes, we are improving relations with the East India Company, France and Great Britain, and no one else. We're going to look to float the rest of this influence in order to increase infamy decay. We have placed our diplomatic interest, our single interest here in South China, with the idea of maybe going after Macau. However, Portugal has a defensive pact with the UK, and so we will only ever be able to go after Macau if specifically we are on the same side of a play as the UK. If we join one of their plays, and then we can maybe go after Macau. This will be nice on a few fronts. One, generating us a natural interest in South China, but also, two, giving us a treaty port when we eventually do become recognized. We're smaller than Qing. We will never be, able to be a state. We're unrecognized regional power. We're never going to be above Qing, which is unrecognized major power, until we become recognized. So sometime down the road, this might turn on as a treaty port, but it does also have a decent chunk of population, 341k, a decent amount of peasants. It doesn't have too much in the way of resources, but this is off of a treaty port. But the native interest will be quite useful and will give us, kind of a pushing out of our boundaries. And also, we might be able to make one of these moves as the UK declares on Great Qing. They might declare an interest in North China, but it might be in South China. Maybe we can do something and go after Macau at that point in time. Kind of our opening step here, though, is going to be reducing these guys' autonomy here. And other than that, maybe just a little bit of chilling. I think what we are going to look to do mostly is just let our subjects build. We are not going to generate too much construction with these 6 construction sectors, and instead by having subjects that are each getting 10 free construction just off base, they will be able to do more. Now, as far as mapping goes, we do have, this nice place that does have coal and iron. We have wood bonuses. There are a couple other places with coal and iron. And also, we will have access to sulfur once we get down into Indonesia, which has a ton of sulfur. And so we're pretty set on resources. Eventually, rubber appears here. We can generate silk, cotton, dyes, the whole shebang. I don't think we're too good on oil, but this portion of Borneo has a good amount of oil. I think Djenne might also have some oil, not 100% sure. We are notably, a big feature of our start is we are starting isolationist, and we are not going to use the dirty declare on a UK subject trick in order to get them to open our market. We are instead going to do it the natural way, which is going to take a little bit longer, or if they just happen to open our market in a way that we are not intentionally trying to provoke, we'll deal with that as it comes. And so let's be off on our way here. Get a little speed up and go ahead. So we here get incredibly lucky in that we get the popular playwright event early. We are doing one of those kind of strange, really small starts. This is one of the very best events you can get in the early game because plus 20 prestige is going to make a huge deal for your power ranking. And so if we take a look here, we have 69. Nice. If our prestige becomes at least 85, we will become an unrecognized major power. We're not quite there yet, but this represents, this represents for us, at least right now, a full, quarter, over a quarter of our current prestige. And so this is going to be able to bump us up in the major power rank much, much, much faster, which is going to be quite nice for us as we wait and see how the UK is going to be handling this China business. Okay, so we actually can't take Macau from Portugal, which is kind of a little bit sad. It would represent, 9 infamy, which is a pretty big chunk, but the game just doesn't let us because it targets a treaty port. I don't know if this is, I don't think this is Victoria Tweaks mod, and so we will not be joining this play at all. And the reason we will not be joining this play at all is that we don't actually want to gift, we don't want Luang to join because they're one of our subjects and they're more likely to join if we join, because we don't want to actually give the UK a front. If we give the UK a front here into Yunnan, they'll actually never push Beijing and they'll just wipe peace. We want Great Qing to be as weakened as possible because we're really hoping that Great Qing breaks apart, because if Great Qing breaks apart, this gives us an opportunity to make an ingress. And so what we're going to do is we're going to instead, look to get just the tip, of Johor and what is this? Perak, and also Selangor. We're going to look to incorporate these guys. Now, in order to do anything that requires a boat, we actually have to build military shipyards before we can actually build a fleet. If you see here, we can't build it because we have no supply of man-of-wars, and so we will get on that, kind of as one of our first things, because we do want to be able to expand a little bit in the early game, because we don't have a tremendous amount of options, and so this will give us some options as well as kind of implant our first industries. We're probably going to put a few things ahead of this, but I did want to just put it in the queue just in case. We would much rather be building these things than having the queue idle. Also, we are going to want to build ports everywhere, and so this is going to be important because ports, the first level, is going to give us 5% market price impact. So there's a lot of things that take away the mappy, and then a lot of things that re-add the mappy. And so you can see here, this re-adds a 5% market access price impact, and so this makes building in coastal places in the Victoria Tweaks mod a lot stronger. We're going to just keep the capital in Bangkok, I think. It has a river. It doesn't have really particularly nice resources, but it does have a really high top-end mappy, because it both is on the coast and is going to be it's on the coast and it has a river. Better might be over here, except this place doesn't have a river. It does have nice resources here, so this would maybe be a better place for the capital, but we don't control Dynam right now, so we'll be looking to get the tip, at least at the outset here. So by the looks of things, we actually got a pretty lucky start here, because we started off with both the jingoist landowner and also an abolitionist devout, which is going to be pretty good for us. So we didn't re-roll for this. In theory, this is something you could re-roll for, but since we decided to do more RP run, we're not going to look to min-max by re-rolling our start. However, this will allow us to try and at least come off of serfdom at the very outset here. The landowners' political strength, it gives them less political strength than serfdom, but very, very critically, also minus maximum income infra from pop. I forgot this modifier This might be a modifier specifically from Victoria Tweaks mod, and we will see a lot of that whenever we are passing laws, and so we do have to do a little bit of reading instead of just remembering everything, because I don't think that's vanilla, and so we're going to moving on to tenant farmers as best we can here. We might be able to reform something a little bit more. The Intelligentsia will like that. Notably, the Intelligentsia have had a pretty quick come up here, and so this is going to get rid of their malice from the minus prestige, which is going to be nice for us. It will also activate very critically this minus radicals from standard of living decreases. Of course, it'll make the landowners unhappy or less happy than they were before, but they're super happy because we just passed pro-army because they're a jingoist, and so this is going to be pretty nice. We will continue to float a little bit of extra authority for this minus enactment time modifier because we are isolationist. We don't have really consumer goods to speak of, so we're not going to be making that much, and we also have the taxes lowered to minimum anyways because we are trying to pass laws faster, be a little bit more legitimate. Consumption taxes aren't that valuable, and we haven't managed to rank our construction up enough to make use of this money. And if you pool over max gold reserves, it will have a negative impact. So right now we're trying to generate some loyalists a little bit, and then once the radicals will appear at a much lower rate as a result of us having this modifier. This, of course, there are other sources of radicalism. This doesn't mean no radicalism, but this is a really good shout. Also, like for example, if you're running high taxes, this does increase the radicals from standard living decreases, and so it doesn't it can help offset running high taxes. We're going to be running high taxes as soon as we get construction up and going, but for now it's not, and so we are just going to try and get professional army and tenant farmers right off the bat here, which would be tremendous for us as a start, and so we will hopefully get some good ticks here. It's very likely we get negative ticks because the landowners oppose it, and they are currently in government, and so this is a bit of a thing. We are annexing Johor, that way we can just get into Selangor later. We're just going to subjugate Perak and Selangor, or this is going to be the idea before we maybe turn our attention towards these other guys. Unfortunately, we have to jump up in power rank from unrecognized regional power. If these guys are unrecognized regional powers, we cannot subjugate them unless we are unrecognized major powers, which is one of the reasons why that event was so good for us. Like, if you're min-maxing a run, that is something you try and re-roll, or you save scum, or you do the trick where you prevent a law pass from moving forward by making your government illegitimate for X number of days, and then you just reload on every day. And it's incredibly lucky we've gotten both that and, the abolitionist. So this is the fateful good luck run. I mean, extra good luck run. We're already on consideration here. All right, well, this is the extra good luck big nice run because we just get tenant farmers as easy as can be, which is fantastic for us. So, yeah, I mean, just lucky rolls all about. We will be looking for, so here's the thing, is we actually would love to go schools, except religious schools are now actually terrible in this mod. This is just, this is so much worse that, it's just completely unviable. And we kind of are even a little bit inclined to lean into our religious group, because we do want these guys to have over 20% clout, or at least maintain powerful status, which they are right now, and be giving us this minus 100% radicals from standard living decreases. And so it's a little bit of an awkward spot. I mean, we could go after the banning slavery. Don't want to make the landowners too mad. Debt slavery is kind of the worst form of slavery. We'd much rather actually have slave trade, I think. But that way we can actually acquire pops. But I think we're just going to kind of leave that as is. And I think, can we make a legitimate government with the Intelligentsia? Well, it's somewhat legitimate, and so this is kind of the next avenue. We still can't really benefit too much from authority. We did start bolstering the Theravada monks, the main reason being this will kind of sap away clout from the landowners. Bolstering the armed forces would do the same. We have a ton of authority. We're looking to make some moves, so I think we're going to do this, and I think we are going to come in, and now we will have a bunch of choices for things we can go after. We can go after hereditary bureaucrats, but I think we're going to go after the very... Wow, we can just... Wait, what? We start with rights of assembly? That's very strange. I don't know if this is vanilla or Victoria Tweaks mod. Us starting with rights of assembly is a little bit of a head-scratcher, but this does mean we can go for very early guaranteed liberties, and so I think we're going to do that. I mean, we were just going to go after landed voting, but I think guaranteed liberties first is going to be particularly nice because we are running low taxes anyways, and we are about to have a huge come-up, so the increased SOL from standard living is going to be pretty nice. Now, we do want to check how much bureaucracy each institution level is going to cost us. It's going to cost us 21. That's pretty easy, so we're probably going to look to max out as quickly as possible this guaranteed liberties. So we're becoming a very, very liberal, isolated society very quick here, which is going to be pretty nice for us, hopefully speaking. Looks like the UK is comfortably getting in here onto Beijing, which is going to maybe spread or be good news for us. If Great Qing implodes, this would be fantastic because we can go after the Yunnan type of territory region, which is very, very rich and lucrative, has a ton of iron and coal. This would really help us to industrialize. Also, I don't think it's subject to a lot of these negative modifiers we have almost everywhere on the negative state construction efficiency. And so, you know, if we could get Yunnan, Sichuan, Guizhou, you know, into our sphere, this would hugely help us pop off and give us some of, you know, those Chinese pops juice. Also, look at that, minus 10%. Minus 20% state construction efficiency. I mean, if we take a look around, we can see a lot more of these modifiers, and we will see, you know, this minus infrastructure and state construction efficiency is present in a lot more places than it is in at least this iteration of vanilla. We'll see, you know, some of this here. It's not too oppressive, but we do see a lot of these, you know, state modifiers that are not present everywhere. Also, every river now, I'm pretty sure. Ooh, I think that's natural. I don't think these natural harbors are here in vanilla, so that's kind of interesting. The state modifiers do give infrastructure. Of course, they have, you know, big sad removed there being 2 river modifiers, you know, in the Tigris and the Euphrates, so no double mappy bonus, big sad. But in vanilla, there's only a few, you know, of these river modifiers, and here it's everywhere. Now, does this also give mappy? No, it doesn't. And so, you know, places with a ton of rivers are going to be particularly nice. We have a, you know, at least a decent chunk of rivers. We're just going to be slower starting because of the state construction efficiency. At least it's not also, oh, we also do have an infrastructure, you know, negative modifiers. And so things will be a little bit slow going for us, at least at the start here. So in our construction queue, we have interposed this tooling workshop in Bangkok. This is going to be the first one we build. It's going to be just wooden tools, but this will allow us to, as immediately as possible, move on to sawmills. We don't currently have, I think, any tooling workshops, at least not in our states, although our subjects can build them. It's not against the rules for them. Notably, we got both these guys as subjects, so now we're just going to be in a little bit of chill mode until we can get some boats up and going, in which case, after that, we'll go after Borneo. But we do want to interpose this tooling workshop so we can try and get the Industrialists or the up-and-coming, you know, by being able to swap to sawmills. Also, sawmills, one of the very best PMs in the game, only takes 5 tools here, doubles the wood output, and so it's definitely more efficient to, you know, swap to tooling once you have it available in order to get this going. We'll also put this on auto expand. It's maybe not going to be the best place to build overall, but it does have a little bit less of a mapping penalty. And here in Laos, where we would want to build a lot of them, we really don't have anywhere near as much pops. We only have 200k pops, and so, you know, we will employ that out much quicker. And so even though there's iron and coal here, the notion of building iron, coal, and then tooling and then running out of pops is a little bit less attractive. And so I think that we will build a little bit more here, at least initially. And also, currently, the only input for these tools is going to be wood, so we're in good shape on that front. Okay, we have come in, and on the paper map, we have swapped in on settings to Victorian, which I think is actually one of, you know, the points of the mod kind of thing. I'm not sure if that's what the exclam is for. Ooh, actually, it's probably for this. Okay, so this is the paper map that we are supposed to be playing with, which, wow, this looks pretty neat. This is the whole idea. We'll play the rest of the run on this kind of paper map. Wow, this does look neat. But this is part of the, you know, package of mods that he, One Proud Bavarian, is using alongside Victoria Tweaks mod. We just downloaded all of them rather than investigating what was essential, you know, to the mod experience, but did just want to turn this on because I did remember, you know, the map looking quite a bit different. And so this is pretty aesthetic we got here going on. Okay, so we have gotten a very critical law, which is going to give us extra market access price impact. I think once we get this going, we are going to look to add an iron mine, or we have already added an iron mine down at the back of the queue in anticipation of this, so we can swap onto the iron frame buildings kind of as quickly as possible. Again, we're not building the tooling workshop here because we're going to exhaust the peasants out way too quick in that area, but now I think we're left with a little bit of a decision. So there are a lot of other laws that we need, like academia. I don't think we're making enough money to have enough, you know, where unlocking these universities is going to be too much of a priority for us, because we want to be spending our money on construction. Urban planning is one you almost always start out with, and this is required for us to go to iron frame buildings. I think this is not quite where we're at, but this is going to be a big one, and it's also going to give a lot of extra infrastructure per population. And so this is one we want to keep an eye on. You know, we're definitely very used to starting with it, and so the fact that we don't changes up things a little bit. But I think what we're going to do is that we're going to start on atmospheric engine. We're only going to look to research it up to about 10k or 2/3 of the way, and then we will switch to cotton gin and lathe. And the way that this works is this is effectively allowing us to control our natural spread. So our natural spread is guaranteed to go into cotton gin and to lathe here. If we were to research cotton gin and lathe, then our natural spread would be randomly assigned between one of these two. And so because we need to research cotton gin, lathe, and all of atmospheric engine in order to get atmospheric engine, we're going to instead research most of this and then go back to cotton gin, lathe, and get atmospheric engine pump a little bit quicker. We might even go mechanical tools before atmo engine, just because we don't quite have a super good setup for mines. We probably we'll go atmo first, but then we'll be looking to get railways, because not only is railways not only do we need these for infrastructure, they also give you 5% MAPI. So you're going to get 5% MAPI from railways, you're going to get it from ports, and so you're going to want to lean into all of these things, and then we'll probably come back in and handle whichever, you know, society tech that is critically important that we haven't gotten yet, like urban planning, academia, empiricism, and the likes of these. All right, well, we basically just can't lose on these law passes, so that's going to be super nice for us. Kind of at the back of the queue here, we will put in, you know, our first level here of the government administrations, which is of course not going to be in there. It's going to be in here, or I guess we have a few levels here, and we're going to add another one. We don't have sufficient tax capacity there anyway, so it's going to be hyper efficient, and we are going to be looking to increase this institution quite up a bit. Now we have a bunch of choices. Man, we've just gotten so lucky on these law passes. Wasn't really planning this far ahead. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go after landed voting, you know, look to get a voting system in here. We've certainly destroyed a lot of the clout of the landowners so far. The industrialists are going to be starting to come up a little bit, you know, once we finish this tooling workshop, which we did, because now we can swap up on a few things. So first of all, we can swap to butchering tools. I don't think we're going to. I think we want to really focus in on the wood here. So we're going to swap sawmills, which is going to make all these capitalists owned. We also, a big part of wanting the wharves is to be able to go to fishing trawlers, which are also going to be capitalist owned. We see it, but it's not real because they're employing up, so everything's going to be fine. But this is going to make wood a lot cheaper, which wood is one of the inputs we have on construction here everywhere, you know, which is why wood is kind of expensive everywhere, which is why we just build this level 1 wood in each place. What we're probably going to do is also build a level 1 cotton plantation everywhere, because I think we're going to be stuck on wooden tools for a while. Remember, this is where iron frame buildings is, and we are going to run out of infrastructure if we don't go railroads reasonably quickly, and so I think we might even be on wood frame. I don't know why they're bankrolling us. I guess they want an obligation. Okay, well, we can add more construction. We're not taxing very heavily, so we're planning on increasing the taxes up a little bit, so why don't we get rolling a little bit on that. We're going to put this in. Here, let's kick this to the front, at least finish this up, you know, and look to get to the point where I think we would be just fine joining France's market, and this would be okay for us. I think we're also eyeballing Pegu a little bit here, taking this province so that the UK can't come after Burma. The only problem is it's like 25 infamy, and so that seems like a little rich for our blood, but if you're not using your infamy decay, you're losing it. So we just finished natural spreading cotton gin, which has changed the cost of atmospheric engine from 15k to 12.5k. The point of this is we research just under 10k, and then we swap back to lathe. That way we get atmospheric engine pump the week after we finish lathe, and we don't have any, you know, unnecessary natural spread. We also got colonialism, which is probably going to, we're probably going to pass, you know, we're probably going to pass it, but again, we're not declaring interests anywhere that is not adjacent to kind of strategic region that we have an interest in, and so it won't really do too much for us, and maybe it's not even worth passing to the first level. We have also decided to go after Laos and also Chiang Mai here, mainly to just incorporate some more pops as well as, how close are you to finishing that? We're just going to cancel this, but we're going to let them finish these coal mines in Laos. That we had gotten, and the main reason here is we want to subjugate these guys next to us, both Burma and Dainan, and the problem is we just don't quite have enough prestige. Really not feeling taking a full, price province off of them for 25 infamy, either in Pegu or in Nam, and we don't have the ships up and running, but we are going to have the ships up and running soon. We do have a slight, well, we don't have any infamy now, but we will be able to go after, Brunei and the likes of them, and also soon, very, very soon here, we will be able to reduce infamy on Perak and Selangor in order to, make sure we are full decaying infamy. We've started to use a bit more of our authority, valuing the enactment time a little bit less. We are getting really, really lucky on all of these, law ticks, to basically just have no issue. As far as the decrees go, this is our current setup. We are now encouraging manufacturing in Bangkok. I think that this is maybe not the most valuable, but we're hoping that the auto queue sees this and, tries to build a little bit more here. As it were, as soon as the iron finishes here, we're going to be, putting in this onto wrought iron tools, which will change the ownership from, merchant guilds to capitalist owned. This is going to be a little bit of a grind. We see the Industrialists are already at 2% clout, though. Really want to get them coming on up, especially because our laws are looking in such good shape now that, getting off of traditionalism won't be too terribly hard, other than they will hate it. And so we really have to attack the clout of the landowners, and we can do this by, getting everything to be more industrialist-oriented in our economy. But we are limited. We are limited on our tools because we are still on isolationism. So I think that once we get the guys to come on up, we are going to switch to mercantilism. That way we can do at least some level of trading. The guys, of course, being the industrialists who will allow us to open up for trade. So we managed to pass voting, have our first election. We're fairly legitimate. We're contested 74. We're probably just going to throw this guy in, get that up to 75, which is going to be nice for us. And now, with legitimate 75, armed forces and gov, we have turned taxes kind of back up almost all the way, or rather all the way, and now we can re-add a little bit of construction we had to delete. Actually, you know what? We're going to clear out this balance, and the reason why is you really don't want to be paying interest when you are unrecognized. We are unrecognized. We're going to look to clear out this balance. The interest rates are just too prohibitive. We are paying them out largely to the ownership class, which for us right now is largely, aristocrats, which is just juicing up their clout. And so rather than just add construction immediately, we're actually going to look to clear out this negative balance that we kind of ran up a little bit before deleting some construction where we kind of evened out. And so we're just kind of holding on steady. In the queue, we do have 4 naval bases, which we are kind of hoping tentatively that this is going to, manage to kick us up into the next rank level. Once we get up to 110. Maybe it doesn't, but with the 4 naval bases, we will be able to go after the likes of Brunei, which are going to have, very, very importantly, at least to us, sulfur, which we don't have, and gold, which is really, really valuable. And so this is kind of a little bit of our next step in our plan, which will also free up our interest that we will probably end up throwing in North India. We're not going to leapfrog over to Sindh and say, hey, we got some stuff in North India, we won't count this. And so we will be mainly kind of staying in this sphere of influence, at least for right now, until we feel that we can justify, at least thematically, expanding out from there, as much as we would love to just, go for Gaza immediately into Transvaal, because this is hyper meta and very, very effective. So we have just finished up our first shipyard here in Bangkok, which is going to mean we're going to be making quite a few swaps here. We are going to put at the very front of the queue some infrastructure in, and we are not super married to the fact that we're getting infra from this, but what each of these is going to give us is 5% market access price impact, off of the ports when they are on cargo ports under this mod. And so we're going to swap everything to cargo port, which is going to be very critical for us to get on this thing. And we will also be swapping on over to fishing trawlers, even if it's not profitable, because this way we can switch to privately owned, which is going to be fantastic for us because we are trying to get the industrialists to come on up. We're also looking to reduce autonomy in Selangor, and also we have swapped over here to Lathe. We did research a little bit too much. We went to 10.2k, but as soon as we finish Lathe, which is going to be, kind of really quick here, we just need to dink 1 week and we will just finish atmospheric engine engine, and from here we can go into railways straight away. We also have to, to try and prep this, make sure we have coal in the queue, which we do, and so we'll have this coming on in. Now, we're going to kick this government administration to the bottom, and we are going to put ahead of it, we do want to increase our, our things, but we're going to put ahead of it a paper mill. Remember, we are isolationists, we have to make everything ourselves, because we do want to swap on over to filing cabinets, and this is the only place where we have government administrations, and so we're going to be doing that so that we can swap up onto filing cabinets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put the paper ahead of the next government administration, so we are ready to make that swap. We are going to finish this cotton plantation in Bangkok. We are stuck on wooden construction frame for a little bit here, as we kind of come on up. Maybe we actually deviate here a little bit. So this is going to be like a key tech for being able to swap onto iron frame buildings, but what it's going to do is, hopefully after Lathe and Atmo, we can get onto, the real thing is we want to get onto Mercantilism. Once we're on Mercantilism, we can actually make a swap to iron frame buildings. And so this is going to kind of help facilitate that. How big is our investment pool? Our investment pool is 1 million. So the price of construction goods is really not going to be the problem for us if we can, make this swap as much, or it's not going to be less the problem as much as the government wages are. And so I think maybe we do this and look to get into this point where we can do this. It's also going to increase land trade, which is going to be nice. Max weekly construction progress, also going to be nice. It's going to allow us to kind of finish up our buildings instead of them overflowing into other stuff. The infra is going to be a little bit nice. But the main one is going to be the unlocking of, iron frame buildings. Marcus Chris is also a decent shout. So I think we maybe do this because we're not like quite out of infrastructure yet, and the building is pretty slow going. We have a decent amount of available infrastructure. We only have 20 construction, and so I think we do this and then look to swap onto iron frame, a little bit earlier here than we had first planned. I think that this adjustment's probably fine/good. So we pip lathe. I don't think we have any sort of things we need to swap over, if I'm not mistaken. But immediately after, we get atmospheric engine because it decreased the price of atmospheric engine by 2.5k, allowing us to get atmospheric engine just slightly faster. We will deviate for urban planning, but we are hoping that the next thing that spreads, now, never lucky, even though we've already had a really lucky start. We do get canneries not spreading. We would have preferred mechanical tools. I think we will be going mechanical tools into railways next, and we can't even make use of atmospheric engine pump at this juncture yet because we haven't finished the coal mine here, but we are going to, make the swap. This is going to help us to pop the event very, very quickly for condensing engine pump. We're not going to, prolong it in order to, yeah, we're just going to go straight for atmospheric engine pump once we get everything going. We are trying to get in on, Belungen here. I think this is a little bit better than waiting and doing nothing. They only have 1 battalion. I think we might be able to land with a 4-stack, with a navy that's coming on up. We do see we fail the first landing, and so what we have cooking here is we are conscripting up, and the navy is recruiting up, and so hopefully once these guys get up and going, maybe once we have a 3-stack, in terms of the army and a 2-stack in the fleet, we will be able to get in on Belungen. I'm thinking even a 3-1 will be able to get in, but we're hoping that these guys come up, relatively soon. We can come in, we can take a look, but this is going to be the first overseas thing we are able to do, and I think that it'll trigger just as soon as we're over 1k, so now we are at 3-2, and so I think this will be more than enough to be able to get in on Belungen. We are just subjugating them. We aren't taking their dirt because we do want to make use of their 10 free construction because, we only have this much construction, although we're going to add a little bit more here. We're going to add 1 here. We're going to add 1 here under the... Actually, let's not add 1 there. We're thinking, hey, let's add 1 here because this is going to be the place to maybe swap iron frame. But I think we, pump the brakes on that a little bit and don't do it right away. But this, we should be able to get in, and this will begin... We should be able to get in. We should be able to get in, and this will, kind of hearken our beginning of our overseas conquest here. We might have to wait for 4-4. If we have to do that, that's kind of whatever. We're in the zone where we're decaying infamy kind of a lot anyways. We've already reduced infamy on a lot of these guys, and we're looking to get to the next power rank so that we can subjugate Dynam and Burma to kind of get a really strong foothold here, and maybe, after we... Yikes. that's a bit of a problem. After we open the market, maybe we can join the UK's market. We can't join the customs union right now because we have isolationism enacted, but we are kind of working on that. The industrialists almost having a come up, and so, you know, once we get to that point, we will be able to do that. Can we reform? No, we can't. We could do something with the rural folk. I mean, so these guys do support some stuff, homesteading. I just don't think we try and pass homesteading just yet. I think that the landowners are going to get too pissed, and they're already going to get pissed at us when we don't enact local police force in 33 months. And so maybe we look to just chillax a little bit there. So we got our landowners unhappy because we failed the government petition, not too interested in putting it in. Although I think in maybe the long-ish term, we're perhaps interested in joining these guys' market. Again, we have to get the industrialists out from being marginalized so that we can go into mercantilism, so that we can join, their customs union, something like this. And so it'll be difficult for us to kind of emerge on this front. But a little bit of happy news, perhaps. We're going to swap up our first construction sector to iron frame buildings, which of course will cause an immediate shortage, but that can hopefully be rectified by this place employing up a little bit more aggressively. We are seeing the employment kind of be a little bit sticky, and so they should just keep raising, with the iron this expensive, they should just keep raising the employment price. But it looked like you're really just loving the banana plantations. You're just too satisfied with your lot in life. That's unfortunate. A little bit sticky on kind of the employment. It feels like a part of it is also going to be the qualifications problems for anything but laborers. But we're going to leave that one on, and hopefully it brings employment to this iron mine a little bit more aggressively. And if it doesn't, then we'll be resolving a lot of this iron frame swap, which we desperately want to make because these are really, really not efficient on a per cost basis. All these wood frame construction. We would have made it way earlier, but we can't resolve, or we can't, import iron as we would like, without being able to shift onto off of isolationism, which of course we could have gotten off of at the very start, but we are doing it a little bit more conservatively. And so as far as the tech goes, we are going after mechanical tools and railways. Hopefully, it's perhaps the case that we're pushing this a little bit too early. Maybe we even want to go academia instead. But I think that we want to continue to push construction. Academia will only slow us down in that regard if we're building universities. And so I think we do this one first, and then maybe we look to kind of push for egalitarianism. We've managed to pass a ton of laws, so that's good. But we are, having a little bit difficulty pushing up the construction. Right now, sitting at 26, really want to make that swap on an iron frame, but we can't. So we are continuing to kind of expand in Indonesia here, which we consider largely to be our sphere. If we take a look, you can see these are all in our market now, of course, our very isolated market. We are making a little bit of money. We're going to look to roll that back, but we're looking to do that by swapping over construction now to iron frame buildings. Now, we are kind of in this weird spot where construction is not too expensive, but also these places aren't employed up all the way. Part of this problem is qualifications. They're employed up here. I don't even, I feel like we just don't even have, I don't know where the iron sell orders in our market are really coming from exactly. It says they're coming from iron mines, but do they lie? We're getting a ton from iron mines in Laos. Sulu and, Siamese Laos is where we are currently controlling. So we're actually getting most of our iron not from, kind of our own control, if it's just from Laos. Rather than Siamese Laos. If they're from here, this is where the lion's share of our iron is coming from. Okay, well, this is fair enough, that this is the way that they're coming from. We still want to leverage the fact that they're getting 10 free construction, so we're not going to look to annex them, because we can still do useful stuff on our own, like, going after Siak here. And so that's kind of a little bit strange. We can't really employ up, here where we would like, and I think that, they share local prices, they might even. So let's actually take a look, because this is interesting, because it's the same market, but these are a split province within our own market, right? It's Siamese Laos versus Laos, and so the market price, or let's check the local, actually, let's check the balance here, and take a look. Okay, so iron, local price 47, market price 61, which is why we're not turning it off on everywhere, and if we take a look here, okay, so local price is 61, market price, Okay, so local price is 63, market price is 61, so same market price, but it does look like it differentiates between each local. This is one of the reasons why, you know, us being able to push up Mappy is so critical here, because we would not be as disaffected by this price differential. You see where it says that all these price differences, this becomes a lot less as you get more Mappy, and so we would really love to be able to get this place to employ up, or these iron mines to really employ up, actually. But also, if we can get this up above 75%, the farther above 75% we can get it, the more, you know, we can get from when we sell at our mines, and also the more lucrative it would be for us to start turning on the iron mines elsewhere. But we might just have to start anyways. So, I mean, we have it in Siamese Cambodia as well. I think we'll hold off a little while longer, but like as our balance continues to kind of come on up, our investment pool is quite large. I think we are going to be we're going to more and more want to swap it up, and it's good to note that I just thought we didn't have enough iron to not run a shortage, and that we're getting it out of, you know, our subject is just fine enough, and so maybe we'll even look to make the big swap. 3 construction sectors is too many. This is how you want to swap up just a little bit at a time. This will cause a shortage, which of course will then further try and employ up these mines and hopefully pressure them to employ up, or even these mines, as it were. Okay, so we are going to need to make another little bit of a pivot here again. Our main problem actually just seems to be employing up buildings. This place has both unemployed and peasants and still can't employ it up. I don't know how much of this is 1.5 changes, how much of this is Victoria Tweaks mod, but we just, like, we can't make the employments happen, you know, because there's not enough people who want to work as, you know, capitalists. And so rather than go railways, because we actually don't need the infrastructure in an immediate fashion, rather than go railways, I think what we're going to do is we are going to make kind of a beeline towards public schools. We're going to go academia into empiricism, which feels kind of bad because we wouldn't have really gone mech tools. But what is nice is we are natural spreading water tube boiler, and so that is at least something. And this will hopefully allow us to employ up these places a little bit better. You know, it's harder for us to employ up capitalists than it is for us to employ up, you know, agrarian ownership. But this is even a little sticky as well. These places just entirely are really struggling to employ. And so, you know, less so here where we were for quite a while, you know, giving doing the edict for the state, what is it? The decree for promote social mobility, but maybe this will be, we're still doing it. Maybe this is increasingly important in this type of metagame. So what we're going to do is we are going to take off road maintenance here, and we are going to promote social mobility over here in Laos to hopefully get the qualifications to come on up, because, I mean, this is where we're building mines. We really need these qualifications. We need these places to start employing up a little bit better, and if we can do this, you know, maybe... I mean, once we get going, Laos will be pretty solid, and we could even annex this, but I think this is a temporary sort of solution, the annexation of this, and also currently they're probably just using edicts out the eyes, you know, kind of on everything. I guess they're not promoting social mobility, but the AI will be able to use their authority and put in more edicts than we could if we annex them. And so we'll just let them keep, like, you know, cooking in the oven, or whatever metaphor you want to use, rather than annexing our subjects. Let them, you know, kind of utilize this free construction and try and come out on the other side of this a bit stronger. So we finish up academia. We're going to put down one university here in Laos. The first university is going to, you know, as a proportion, add the most qualifications to you. And then we are going to start building our universities tall here in Bangkok, where we are going to push up to level 2 specifically so we can hit the journal entry for the universities. And then once we research the next tier up, we might push to level 5. We'll be getting techs a little bit faster, and then we can kind of come back in and refocus on the railroads after this, going empiricism. This will also give us a nice law in the way of, you know, being able to pass the other stuff. We're gonna risk it to get the biscuit with this one, I think. Rather than getting minus 15% chance, we're gonna risk it to for 55% chance. Hopefully we get some lucky ticks, but we are enacting interventionism, and we have continued to kind of just, push our weight around in here. Now we can get in on Sintang, and we are, expanding our influence in the sector. Still haven't become, next power rank yet, and we are actually getting further and further, which is indicative of the fact that the EAI is playing quite a bit stronger than they normally do. Now, we do have the Heavenly Kingdom kind of split from Great Qing, which is fantastic for us because these guys are going to be much more manageable bite sizes, and also they're not at war anymore. So this is a split. This isn't like we see each other on the weekends, but we're broken up, but we're still working things out. This is a split, and so this is going to mean that we are going to be able to attack either one of these guys for bigger pieces, but we are going to have to start at least with the Heavenly Kingdom. But this is a ways down the line. We are not feeling very strong at all here. The start's been really slow between guys seeming to not hire up anywhere near as much as well as they do in vanilla. We are running like max prices. There are peasants and there are peasants available. There's even unemployed available, and we still can't employ up like pretty much anywhere. We are struggling pretty hard with that. I'm guessing it's the combination of the literacy and the mod. SOL is kind of wholesale dropped. We are looking to rake back the taxes rather than adding construction as a general sense, but we can't run a negative balance. And so once we, finish these universities, we're probably just going to chill out a lot. And by chill out, I mean we're just not going to actively construct anything really, and we're just going to look to let our investment pool here clear out and let the auto queue build. We aren't getting really targeted buildings anyways. SOL is not all that high, and when we do this, I think we will have a good chance to kind of lower taxation level, and also mercantilism getting into a market I think is going to be good for us moving forward. So by passing Build a University, we are going to be able to get 2.5k of progress on empiricism, which we are researching now, which represents a quarter of the text. So this is going to be pretty nice, and this is one of the main reasons we built the university up to level 2 instead of just kind of like leaving it as a level 1, to help to try and push the qualifications up. We have populations, we have unemployed, we have peasants here, but man, oh man, is it sticky. So we are going to be, kind of decreasing taxes a little bit more here. We're going to run a negative for a slight amount of time while the rice farms kind of come on up, but hopefully this way we can kind of try and refund some money to the people so that they can buy themselves an education, so that they can actually work, so that they can actually make money, so that they can afford an education. Really, it's just a kind of death spiral catch-22 that we have going on here. I assume this has to do a little bit with Victoria tweaks. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. The building just can't employ up despite, having access to unemployed pops, and you really don't want pops to become unemployed, and so we're just going to let that kind of work its way out. We do see whenever you're kind of evaluating how much money you're making, you want to always do like your actual balance plus your investment pool change, and so we're effectively losing 7k right now, but we can lose 7k for quite a while before it's going to become a problem, and so we'll just kind of keep going with what we're doing right now as we try and pass mercantilism. So close. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there soon, and we have pulled a little bit more under our thumb here. Dutch East Indies is kind of looming on over us, and so we do have to be a little bit concerned about that. Maybe we want to improve relations with let's improve relations with Great Qing a little bit. I think they will actually be keen on joining or being swayed into a war with us, and so maybe we can go for something like, liberate here. South China will declare an interest. Maybe we can go for something like liberate Yunnan, as we discussed, a little bit earlier in the episode. Not yet, because I'm not sure. Well, actually, if they're on peasant levies, they will be a little bit weak. They have a projection of 2k. We have a projection of 960, and so, if Qing would help us fight the Heavenly Kingdom, then we probably could actually, liberate Yunnan and get, a future expansion spot for ourselves. I think we're going to conclude the episode here. We have been largely focused on, talking through some of the differences between the Victoria Tweaks mod. As far as the Siam play goes, we have been looking to expand kind of locally in Southeast Asia and Indonesia, a Siamese market. Definitely having a bit of problems with kind of just starting out so backward, kind of being behind on tech. Man, we're hurting on the SOL front. This is why we're kind of reducing taxes down and looking to kind of hit a little bit more of our stride here. I think kind of coming through, maybe we lower them just a little bit more. Most of our cost is construction costs, and so this is going to be good. We've also talked about kind of, you know, how we're making a little bit of different moves than we normally would in the early game. Really struggling with the qualifications in a way that we're not used to, but we're also not used to starting without academia, so it's hard to say. It's really hard to say if this is 1.5, if this is a Victoria Tweaks mod, or what, but we just can't employ places up. And so hopefully, you know, the universities that we built here or the single university we built here will help to allow this place to employ up. This is kind of our hope to a large extent. I mean, there's demand for a lot of this stuff, but they just can't get up there. I don't know if it's 1.5. I don't know exactly what it is. We are going to get empiricism soon, and then we are going to get public schools, which is going to greatly improve, you know, our literacy. And hopefully, with that increased literacy, that we can make use of it in order to get places to actually employ up, because we need pops to be more literate in order to be capitalists. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You know, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a good day.